And hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live. We also want to welcome those tuning in on Facebook, on YouTube, as well as on Twitter for another great episode today. If you guys are new to us here on the Amazon side, we do welcome you all to our broadcast. If you're new to us here, make sure you guys do hit that follow button. You'll see it either here in this corner or down below. Also, you will see the books of today's guests, which I'm very excited to welcome back author Tina Siemens to our program today. She's written two books that we've had a chance to talk about, and she has more coming. But the book we have highlighted in the carousel right now is this one, Seminole, Some People Never Give Up. You guys can see it there. Also, we have the book that chronicles a part of her journey as well, called The Little Sandals That Could. We have it highlighted there in this carousel as well. We were reminding you throughout the broadcast how you can get the books, of course, that you can see there in paperback as well as the Kindle editions, but also stay connected with Tina and all the great things that she's doing. But Tina, welcome back to the broadcast. Glad to speak with you again.
Thank you so much for having me. It feels like it's a first time every time because it's just such a joy for me to be on with you. So I appreciate your time.
And look, I appreciate yours. Tina, we were just talking before we went live here about history, and we're going to get more into that when it comes to a great project that you're working on this year. But history is a very big part of what you've been able to share as an author. And I love this because I think this is so inspiring for our audience here, Tina, because we all have heard the saying that everyone has a story.
Exactly.
But you literally have written your story, your family story. How does that feel to be able to keep your family alive? Because that's really what you're doing. How does it feel to keep your family alive through the books you've been able to write?
It is absolutely a joy. And the longer I get into it, I feel more comfortable speaking about it. And so for me to share what I have learned and the amazing history that is preserved through archives, and it's not just my history, but everyone, like you said, everyone has a story, and it is recorded somewhere through newspaper articles, through television interviews. Back in the day, it was just church records. And so if you just start getting into it, it is fascinating to really look into your history and then learn from the history. So it's a joy for me to share that with not only my family, but the world.
Yeah. And it all began with the book that I have highlighted now in the carousel. You guys can get it, as I mentioned, in paperback and Kindle. It's Seminole, Some People Never Give Up. You guys can see a close-up of the cover there. So talk to us about how this began for you, Tina, because I think for everyone out there who may say, you know what, I wish I had a record of my, great-grandparents or grandparents, or even my parents. How did it start that you began the book Seminole?
Well, it was a desire for me to just have a record for myself and our children and future generations. But the more I got into it, I'm a person that wants to do everything authentically. So
Yeah.
I made a point to travel to each one of these places that migrations had happened, that I knew from records that my ancestors had lived. So I went to each one of those places, and it took about 20 years for me gathering the information.
Wow.
And so for anyone that's out there, things like this don't happen overnight.
Mm-hmm.
It's a process. You start with one, and I know in the children's book in the very back, page 84 and 85, I have a simple family tree of mother and dad's side. So for those who have not started, start right there. Get your name would be at the bottom, then your parents, and then your grandparents. Start right there. And if any of these people are alive, start by talking to them, but not just talking, but recording their voice, their way of telling their story. That's the greatest place to start right there.
Tina, you just said something that may make me a little emotional there when you said that. I was talking to my mother this year, and I shared an interview I did with my grandmother before she died on the radio show. And outside of her will, which she did a video wheel, which, a lot of people have done, that is the only recording we have of her voice, is the interview that we did together. And my mom, I could tell by her facial expression that she was listening to it.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
that did, bringing back those memories and being able
Mhm.
to hear her mother again. Hello
Yeah.
to you, Wendy, on the Facebook side. Appreciate you being with us. Hello to you, Melissa. Good to be able to see you as well. So I want to talk about that because what you just shared is so powerful in itself,
Mhm.
Tina. And again, it goes to what you and I were talking about, the show we were having before the show.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we were talking about we take so many things for granted. And I
Mhm.
think to myself, if I had not asked my grandmother
Yeah.
um,
Mhm.
to be a guest on the show, we wouldn't
Exactly.
have had that record.
Exactly.
Um, how does that feel to know that you've been able to take advantage of that, take advantage of those opportunities? You were just mentioning you were with family over the weekend. You were telling me before we
Mhm.
went on here and being able
Yeah.
to talk about that. What has that been like for you to know that you are preserving that history by the work that you're doing?
Well, it's the comments after. They will ask questions. On Saturday, I was invited to come to a neighboring town about 60 miles, speaking to a group of about 20 retired teachers.
Mm,
And the Mennonites have always been a curious people, and people surrounding where there's Mennonites, they have questions like why do they dress the way they dress, and why don't you, if you are a Mennonite, why don't you dress that in? So I love having these conversations of this is where we came from, this is where it started, and
yeah.
for them to then ask questions. My husband's family was with us last night, and I was able to I love incorporating food of past generations, things that remind them of their grandma. So I'll cook things, and then that is a conversation starter. Oh, this tastes like my grandma's recipe, or this was like my in-laws' recipes. So then that started, and then they start asking questions. If I have then answers, it produces more questions. And so I was able to get out some timelines, some old letters that I have saved up that were on a pile of a dump. It was
Mm,
meant to be burned at my husband's grandparents' place after they had the estate sale. I rummaged through the pile that had boxes and stuff. I found ledgers of handwritten notes and letters that were mailed to them and received from South America. So that
wow.
just really sparked my in-laws, brother and sister-in-law's interest last night. So for me to be able to share things like that, that is food for the soul.
Yeah, such a great thing. I want to welcome those tuning in on the Amazon Live side. You guys have any questions for Tina? Feel free to be able to drop those in the comment section. We'll be glad to be able to ask her those. Also, those tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, welcome to the broadcast. Our guest is Tina Siemens. You guys have seen her before and probably heard our previous conversations, but it's always so much to talk to her about. And she has something new that's going on this year that we're excited to talk to her about. But the two books you guys can see in the carousel are seminal. Some People Never Give Up. You guys can see it there. That was her first book about her family's history. Then I'm going to highlight in the carousel, Tina, your personal story, The Little Sandals That Could. So, when you and I first were talking, when you released the second book, uh, I had said initially, I said, it's a great book for young people. But then you and I were talking, and we were like, this is a book that everyone can be inspired by. I want to talk about reflecting back on that little girl because you've done so much in your life. I mean, talking about your parents and grandparents and those before them, you have done so much in your life. What has that been like for you to think about the journey that you personally have been on and what you've been able to do and you've been able to achieve?
Well, with tomorrow being Valentine's Day, I was thinking that my first experience here in Seminole was true love.
Yeah.
And love that has it was not a written language. It was a shown by action type of
Mm,
love. And that was what gave us the foundation to immigrate into the US and to become a part of the fabric of the US flag, of the US culture.
mm,
And because it was the first day of public school, where the teacher took me by the hand and showed me to the back of the classroom and said, "This is how you wash your hands." She was talking, but I couldn't understand anything that she was saying because I only spoke German. And so for me to have learned a brand new language, that our bus driver first, his name was Mr. Love, of coincidentally, and he brought us from the bus into our classroom and said, showed, kind of gave us a nudge. This is your classroom. So for me, that's where it started. It was with love, and that is what we can continue. And that, for me to have had the opportunity to become American, becoming a citizen, and to meet the president of the United States that made it all happen. It's just been such a worthy a journey that I will never get tired of speaking about it and giving glory where glory is due, because it was, first of all, God, and then many people that allowed that to for their hands and feet to be a spokesperson for us.
Yeah. Your family is no stranger to challenges and struggles. Tina, you talk about that in many ways in the book Seminole. Some of the challenges your family were faced with, even so, at some point with guns. So I mean, you talk about that. You went through your own challenges too. What was that like for you to think about what you have came out of, but also what helped you to do it? Because I think for a lot of people, when they're faced with challenges, Tina, as you know, a lot of time it breaks them. They don't have, the fortitude to withstand it. What do you think helped you to withstand the challenges that you face in your life?
Well, number one is faith.
Okay.
Yeah, because without faith and having that foundation, being trained up, that we by ourselves are nothing. We don't have the strength. We don't have the breath that we breathe. It's a gift. And for us to be able to work things through with the help of God and with the help of other people, that is absolutely been the best part of it. Because if we would give up when things go really difficult, or things seem so unimaginable or obtainable, that when you have faith to fall back on, then things happen without you. But like, I'm reminded right now of the footprints in the sand. It's during the hardest times that you may not have your own strength, but there's that extra strength that just pulls you through. And when you can recognize that you don't have to do it by yourself, you can rely on that inner strength, that inner core that you've been taught as a child. That's like a springboard to the, especially falling forward. If you fall backward, you're that much further removed from the present time. So if you fall, then try to fall forward, and then realize that I don't have to do it on my own. I have that inner strength that I can rely on.
Yeah, such a great thing. Such a great point for sure. Tina, I want to say too that the other thing about the times that you and I have been able to have these conversations, and just my being able to see how you've been able to embrace new things. You mentioned, of course, coming here only speaking German and being able to learn a new language, and not only to learn a new language, but to write 2 books. and now to work on new projects. Do you think learning and being interested and excited about learning is also something that helped you along this way?
Oh, for sure. Because if the curiosity in a person does not drive you forward, you will kind of be stagnant. And so if you have the desire to learn new things, and it can be small things, but unfortunately, for us, it was always huge things. There was huge obstacles. Like, learning a new language is not an easy task to do. And but it didn't come over. It came over 40 years, and I'm still learning. There is times where I think in German, then I have to translate it or switch it over to English. It happens almost on a daily basis. So we never get everything learned that we want to learn in life, but it's not giving up in the challenges. And the more the challenge, it's almost as if that drives you to, okay, I've overcome some pretty good challenges. That just gives you the strength to conquer whatever is ahead of you. And I think we're heading into, every one of us has different challenges in life, but it's with what kind of attitude we face those.
Yeah. You also, the other thing I want to talk about in the little sandals that could, that comes up in the book, Tina, is your appreciation for the little things. I think you and I definitely have that in common because my friends say to me, I get excited about the smallest of things. I
Yes.
have a lot of big things I could be happy about, and I'm
Mhm.
appreciative for it all.
Yeah.
But little things definitely excite me. And that
Yeah.
kind of leads to the title of the book, The Little Sandals That Could.
Yeah.
What about that appreciation for the little things? Where does that come from? Does that come from your parents, or where does that appreciation come from?
Yes, because if you have grown up having little, not having a whole lot of earthly treasures,
Hmm.
then the little things do add up. And it's like picking if you walk in a parking lot and you see a penny. Well, you may have $100 bill. You don't really need that penny, but it's if you had 99 cents, that would make a dollar.
Right.
So it's not only appreciating the little things, but doing the little things that
Yeah.
accumulate and work itself into bigger
Yeah.
things. So I think it's again attitude.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that, and I'm definitely that way as well. I mean, I'm definitely going to pick up the penny.
Me too. Me too. And if it's a dime,
Um,
wow, that's a good find.
yeah. So I want to talk about where we are because we've talked a good bit in this conversation. Again, if you guys are on the Amazon side, make sure you guys do click the books so you can get Seminole. Some People Never Give Up by Tina. I'm going to highlight it again in the carousel for you guys. It's available in print as well as a Kindle edition, but also her second book, which is The Little Sandals That Could. You guys have it, see it here. It's available also in paperback in the Kindle edition. You were doing something that's really special, and I found out about this as we were beginning this new year, Tina, because we talk about preserving history. I want to talk about this new undertaking. We've gotten to know you as an author, but talk to us about the new way that you're going to be helping to preserve history, especially when it comes to the Mennonite culture.
Well, I'm working on, and I've got the title now for a new museum. Uh, for years and years, I dreamt of having a museum, and it was just never the right timing because I thought, again, your stinking thinking gets in the way.
Yeah.
I thought I had to have the perfect building, the perfect location, and real estate is not cheap now, and so that kept me from achieving that goal or pursuing that goal. I've been collecting things for many, many years, pieces of furniture, pieces of archival stuff. And when I travel, I always buy or look for things that would be for that future museum. Have done that for 30 years. And so I've got a good collection of things, but I always thought it had to be perfect. And in December, I was after the holidays, I was just kind of laying low, and I thought, I have to do this because the people are curious, they want to know. And so
Yeah.
I thought, I've got an office space that is about 5,000 square feet that is not being used right now. Why don't I start there? And that just gave me such amazing hope and drive forward that I've got the title selected of the museum. I've got the technical stuff like with the CPA and stuff worked out. So I am going to, and not only the Mennonite culture, but the Comanche Nation, the Indians, which is my next book, connecting with the Comanche Nation in Oklahoma. My ancestors were missionaries to Oklahoma among the Comanches, and I have great grandchildren of the great Quanah Parker, who's very well known here in the Midwest or West Texas. And so that will be a huge footprint in the museum. But having a display, and I have the word living inside of the museum, living heritage. So with that, I will give classes of canning meat, preserving vegetables, quilting, making your own quilts, and also giving evenings of lessons of what is our history, where do we come from, what have we experienced, and I think it'll be an amazing addition to the community, but also just educating many different people that are going to travel through. So I'm super excited about that project.
I love that. That sounds amazing. Wendy says, "Congratulations, just what's in your hand." That's right. I mean, but I think that's the big. I think the world has taught me, especially over the past 20 years, Tina, that I think it's great that we do think big and we think about all these big things. But I do think it does kind of instill procrastination sometimes
Yes.
when
Mhm.
we could always start small and grow. And that's
Exactly.
one thing I've had to learn. You know what? You may have this big thing you want to do, but you
Mhm.
can start small and then grow into whatever that might be. And I love that you're talking about using already what you have
Yeah.
and then growing from there. I think that's the big thing for sure. You mentioned family, and I cannot let you go, Tina, without showing our audience these great photos of. I know you're one of your prized possessions, and that is your grandchildren
Oh, yes.
that are here in the back of the book. I want to talk about what you're leaving behind. I mean, we want you here with us, but how does it feel to know that you are leaving such a powerful legacy for them? I mean, you're showing them how to sew, how to cook. We see that in the book. How does that feel to know what you're instilling in them?
Well, I think that they are my granddaughters are 11 and the grandsons are both 8. But I think that they all already appreciate me incorporating them because they're having fun. Right now, it's just having fun.
Mhm.
But when they get older, they will look back upon that as lessons, and that is my main drive is to leave the place better than what I found it, and they will live through me, through my dreams. They'll continue that if I install that desire in that in a fun way. They will pick that up, and I think that is just such a satisfying thing. And it doesn't have to be what I'm doing. It can be whatever our listeners are interests they have.
Right.
Pursue that so that that particular thing that gift that you were given that will, like we talked about before the show. You have 4 Cyruses, and there's one in your family tree, there's one that is picking that up and
Hmm.
studying that. So if whatever gift that you were given, talents that you were given, it might be 3 generations removed, but then there will be that one person that will grow up to have the same likes and desires. And if you have laid the foundation for that to pick up, what a gift that will be to that future generation.
Such a great thing. Melissa says, "Congratulations as well to you, Tina, over on the Facebook side." I think so many great things are coming for you, Tina, and I'm so excited for you. And I just want to say, congratulations to you. But also, I'm so thankful that you have been able to embrace new things. I know social media, doing things like this, are not things that you may look forward to doing, but you've definitely embraced
Maybe.
it when it comes to technology. So I appreciate that. Again, everyone, Tina Siemens, my friend, has been our guest. Make sure you guys pick up her books. Again, Seminal, Some People Never Give Up. You see it there,
Mhm.
as well as The Little Sandals That Could. Both of them are here on Amazon. So, Tina, again, it's going to be another busy year for you. How can our audience stay connected with you?
Get in touch with me on social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can email me at seminalthebook.com or gmail.com. And I'd love to hear from you.
All right. Always a pleasure, Tina. We know we're going to be having you back real soon. And looking forward to the continued updates on the museum project.
I will show you some pictures when I'm up and running.
Awesome. Love it. Love it. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Cyrus Webb Presents here on Amazon Live, but also through our friends at YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook as well. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying thank you all so much for being with us. We'll talk to you soon. You all take care.